Welcome to Miss.sheeena's world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Lady house to get your hair braided. Now, this is not your first time going over there, but every time you do go over there, it's always chaotic. You done got kind of used to it. You put up with it because, I mean, her prices are cheap and her braids last long. Not to mention she's super fast. But anyway, on this particular day, she got the music playing, y'all talking a little bit, laughing a little bit. You just kind of scrolling on your phone. Then at a certain point, her man busts through the door and he's like, where's my other phone at? He don't even really pay no attention to you. So she ignored him like she don't hear him talking, and he said, man, you heard me. Where's my other phone at? So she said, oh, the phone that you be talking to them little females on is over there. And she pointed to the countertop. So at this point, I'm kind of like, hold on. He got a second phone? He's talking to females on the second phone? Literally, it was me argument before I got here, but it's about to be tea. Now, clearly, you could tell that he's getting frustrated. So he was like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. All I'm trying to do is make a play and I need my phone. I realized I left it. So now you sitting up here like, okay, well, if you left your phone, how you mad at her? But that's when she said, no, you didn't leave it. I took it out of that car because I saw one of them little females texting me. He said, man, again, I'm trying to get money for us. I'm trying to make a play. Ain't nobody talking to the little female. So she said, okay, your phone right there if you want to get it. Now you see them looking at each other. And clearly he know what she about to do and vice versa. Because all of a sudden when he goes to get the phone, she dives for it first and she end up grabbing it. So he started yelling, man, give me my phone. Give me my effing phone. She said, no, get the F out of my house. Get the F out of my house. Now you sitting that hair sticking up like the number 5. You don't really know what to do. You didn't really expect it to escalate. And little did you know it was just getting started. So that's when he let out a deep breath. He said, man, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm really trying to get this money. Can you please just give me my phone so I could go around, make this play? I'll be right back and we could finish discussing it. She said, I'm not discussing nothing. I'm doing hair. You could get out my house. Before you know it, she walks to the door and she throw the phone in the yard. He goes outside. She walks back behind you. She tell you, I'm sorry about that. She start braiding your hair again. You thinking, okay, this is it. He's gone. No, this is not it. Y'all can see his shadow walking back up towards the house. So she hurry up, run, slam the door and lock it. He starts beating on the door. Man, open the door. Man, open the door. She say, no, I told you need to leave. He said, all right, I'm gonna leave. Just let me get my stuff. Let me get my stuff. Cause when I leave, I ain't coming back. She said, whatever up in here is mine now. You got your little phone, so go ahead on. He shake on the door a couple of more times. And then after that, everything goes silent. So again, she turned the music up. He's back to braiding your hair. You're just kind of sitting there like WTF. But okay, cool. We back to regular scheduled program. No, we are not. Now, what she had you sitting at was in a chair in the kitchen. That chair was facing the living room. The front door was to your right. So literally, you maybe took 5 steps and you was to the front door. But at the same time, the sink was also to your right, like directly to your right. Then it was one of them little kitchen windows that's kind of divided in half horizontally. But as y'all sitting there thinking that this man is gone, all of a sudden it's just a whoosh and glass is flying everywhere. This man has jumped through the bottom portion of the glass. Mind you, is giving 6 foot, about 220, 230 pounds. You didn't see a speck of blood, but he falls into the sink first and then falls onto the floor. He gets up like a giraffe just being born and say, see, all you had to do was give me my stuff. Now, it took a minute to get his bearing, but once he was up, he started going through the kitchen cabinets. You're like, what are you doing? She's yelling, you need to leave now. You need to leave now. Finally, he gets a bottle of bleach and he started making his way towards the back of the house. So you're like, okay, what is really going on? So she's telling you, help me, please do something. You're looking at her like, girl, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't even know what's going on. So she follows him to the back of the house. She was like, why are you doing it? He said, see, you should have just let me get my shit. You just should have let me get my shit and then I would have left. She said, well, take it now and leave. He said, nah, it's too late. All of a sudden you hear her screaming, stop, stop. That's not just my clothes. That's my children's stuff too. That's my children's stuff too. Evidently, he was throwing bleach everywhere. Then he proceeded to throw it kind of like throughout the house as he was walking back up the hall. And he flings the empty bottle of bleach onto the kitchen floor towards you. Luckily, nothing got on you. But at this point, you know, you can't breathe. None of y'all could breathe, actually. I mean, he was the only one that could breathe, shockingly. Sharp in that hyperventilating eyes burning. It's straight bleak. Now, you still frozen up in that chair. Especially because now he's walking towards you. But he go back into them cabinets. He get a trash bag. He walks back towards the back. She's still like following him, literally running around the house, screaming and hollering behind him. Evidently, he put some of his stuff in the bag. He walks out the house. Now, by this time, you have to go to the door. You have to get some air. Because you cannot breathe. Despite that window being broken. No, that's not enough air. You literally choking. So again, as she running out the house behind him, she almost knock you down. You're like, oh my God. So you put your body back in the house, but your head is now outside the door. He done threw the bag in the back seat. His car was actually still running. He goes to close the driver's side door. She jumps onto the door, like from the inside. He's trying to push her off. She's not moving. So he puts the car in drive and he hits the gas hard. Mind you, there's a fence around the house. So that's when you realize, oh, he's trying to run the door into the fence to knock her off the door. She must have felt it too because she hurried up and she jumped off of the door. She jumped in the nick of time too because the door ended up hitting the fence and it bent the door all the way back. So yeah, then his door couldn't close. He then throws the car in reverse and drives out of the driveway just like that. Door broke. You help her up off the ground, but she kind of started like knocking you out the way like, man, why didn't you do something? You didn't have a chance to answer because by this point, a couple of her neighbors had to came out. They're like, man, they fighting again. Another neighbor's like, I'm calling the police. So at this point, her eyes are red. She's crying. She's not. She walked past you and the neighbors and walk up in the house. You can hear her crying hard as hell. You talking to the neighbors telling them, look, I'm just here to get my hair done. I mean, clearly look at my head. Again, hair sticking up like the number 5. The police came in record time. They started asking you questions because obviously you were outside. You was like, you need to talk to her, but this is what I saw. So they taking pictures of everything, then they go in and they talk to her. She's like, yes, she want to press charge you because that's the rent house that she's living in. She's gonna be responsible for those damages, and he damaged some of her children's stuff. So after everything was done, you finally go back up in the house, and she's sitting in the chair that you was sitting in when she was braiding your hair. She said, bro, why you didn't help me? You said, what was I supposed to do? He was the Incredible Hulk. I'm not Hulkisha, and neither are you. You should have let that man go about his business. I mean, that's a victim blame, but you should have let him go about his business. She was like, man, I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of this. You say clearly, which is why you should have let him go about his business. I would have put his stuff in the bag for him and threw it out the window. He wouldn't have had to come back in the house. She started walking towards the back of the house that you follow her because you don't know where her frame of mind is. That's when you really see the damage. And yes, he definitely did bleach everything up in her room. Like, I'm talking about curtains, bedding. She had a whole pile of laundry on her bed. He bleached everything. She was like, oh, I was just coming to get a fan so I could finish your hair. You was like, you gonna finish it? She was like, yeah. I'm not about to let him make me miss out on no money. And baby, clearly that incident must have gave her some superpower because she finished your braids even faster than she normally do. And she did them better than she normally do. So guess what? 3.5 months later, you was back in her chair. And guess who was outside barbecuing? That same ninja. The end.
That are over 40 and single, because one day I'm out and about at the club and I'm walking around the club and this guy comes up to me and he was like, hey beautiful, can I buy you a drink? So I moved for a free drink. So we go to the bar and we're talking and we're chatting it up, and he was like, oh, you know, he points to my tattoo on my stomach and he was like, are you a big Drake fan? And I was like, oh, I've had this owl tattoo for a long time. So I tell him the story behind my owl tattoo. So me and him are chatting it up and we're having a vibe, and he gives me his number and he was like, I would love to take you out, can I have your number? So I give him my number. So we go out on a first date and we decide to start dating from there because we really had a lot of good chemistry going on. 3 months into us dating, me and him are out and about at a bar, and this girl that I'm sleeping with comes up to me. So she's being awkward and she was just like, oh hey, like, you know, I didn't expect to see you here, and I'm DL, so I don't really want him to know about the women I'm pleasing behind his back. So I was just like, oh, what's up? So I'm acting like I don't really know her like that, and you could tell there's tension. So then she steps off and he was like, what is that about? Like, how do you know her? And I was like, oh, that's my cousin, sister, best friend. I'm just lying because at the point that, you know, the women I please aren't anybody's business, and me being DL is a sensitive topic. So me and him continue to go out, we're dating. 6 months into us dating, he just calls me out of the blue and was like, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I was like, why? In my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, he found out about my girlfriend. And he was just like, well, you know what? I just really don't like dating women with tattoos. And I'm just sitting back like, you know, you met me with the tattoo. This is something you could have said 6 months ago, but we moved because I don't let a man tell me more than once that he don't want to be with me. So last night I was just scrolling social media and I come across my coworker that was out at the club. So I'm looking, he's out at Nelly's. Why do I see this man that I used to talk to at the bar sipping a drink at Nelly's in this man background? You mean to tell me we had something in common? We're both DL? I missed out on a lavender marriage? Sir, hit me back. Rent is expensive. I'm tired of being a boy. I want to be the girl. But no, you know who you are. Hit me back. I would love to be in a lavender marriage, okay? And just want to add, when I say single, I mean this man's over 40, has no kids, and has never been married. Never been engaged. Just nothing. You gotta watch out for those. You gotta eat.
Every time when I had a patient come in the ER and she was married, her husband cheated on her and then came back and gave her an STD. A lifelong STD that she could not cure. Okay, first of all, this is a trigger warning for kids, but in my opinion, I feel like if you're a kid that's not ready for the sex talk, you don't need to be on TikTok. My 8-year-old used to be on TikTok until I started looking at her For You page. She's no longer allowed to be on TikTok, so do with that as you will. No judgment if you want your kids to be on TikTok. No. Anyways, on with the video. Okay, so boom. I was working in the ER. Okay, I had floated down the ER. But I will say, I've never been a true ER nurse, except for I did like clinical rotations there, and then like I would get pulled to the ER. But I will say, almost every single time that I was in the ER's presence, I would see somebody come in with an STD, some kind of something. Okay, crazy. They even had words for it, like she's got the trifecta, she's got this, she's got that, and that one was super common. Some people called it triple, some people called it trifecta. It was gonorrhea, trick, and chlamydia together. That was called the trifecta, and it was so common, y'all. And this is something that I need to stress to people, is that people hear about STDs, or they hear about curable or uncurable, and they automatically think that you can look at somebody and tell that they have it. The cleanest, most nicest, most functional people in the world can have an STD. Like, it literally takes one single time to have a young person. If you are a grown person right now and you don't have an STD, you are considered the lucky ones, okay? Because when I tell you, I did not realize how rampant, especially in a college town, how many there are, okay? And I stress this. I cannot stress this enough to my kids, to my kids' friends, to teenagers. I have even had one of my friends got cheated on in a relationship. They weren't married, but she also got something. Thank God it was curable. So boom, this lady was sick. She was almost presenting like flu. So when she came in, she was having fever, she was having body aches, she was sleeping nonstop. And when she went to Red Med, they tested her for flu, strep, COVID. She was negative for everything. Well, she was still just sick. She was vomiting. She was just sick. Okay, so she came to the ER and she was like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but like I feel like I'm dying. Okay, well, she was also having some urination problems whenever she was peeing. It was really burning. She did not have any bumps. She did not have any warts or anything like that. She was kind of swollen down there, but the swelling, I think that they were trying to relate to like her having maybe a UTI. And whenever she went to Red Med, because she was married, it just never caught. She had been married. She was happily married, she says, for a while. So it just never clocked to her that she had an STD. So anyway, she came into the ER. The doctor kind of already knew what was going on, just by her presentation. He ordered a Foley catheter. So whenever we put this girl was young. I can't remember, like 30s or 40s. Whenever we put the Foley catheter in here, she put out like 2,000 of urine, which is insane. Like, obviously she had retention. And that's what this doctor told me. He was like, and I was like, why are we ordering, da-da-da-da? And he's like, well, flu and urinary retention together is herpes. And I was like, oh my God. Put out the urine, and then we tested her. She did in fact have herpes. And I just need y'all to know that herpes is a disease that you will have for the rest of your life. There's no cure to it. You can get on medication to like help with the symptoms throughout, but you will have that for the entire rest of your life, okay? And it is nothing about being dirty. It's nothing about judging anybody that has it. It's just something that can happen. And that's why I preach and preach and preach to my daughters and like their friends and this on how, first of all, I preach to not have sex. And I don't preach that just because I'm a mama. I preached that before I had kids. And if you knew me in real life, you knew that. Or if you're my friends, I am a strong believer that the quickest way to lose a man's attention is to let him get you naked. It automatically strips you of all your power and gives it to that man. And for what? He will lose interest in you as soon as he takes your clothes off. So I've just never understood the whole one night stand or the whole, and I'm not saying that I haven't made mistakes in my past, but I'm just saying that the mistakes that I did make in my past made me feel like an absolute piece of shit, and like he was superior to me. And that's all it took for me was that one time, and it never happened again. Never. Anyway, that was on a different tangent. This is why I stress on being safe. Even if you're on birth control, you can still get STDs, and you can get lifelong STDs. Anyway, so the test results come back, and we tell her, I didn't tell her, they told her, like, hey, your test results, you do have herpes. And she was in denial. She wanted us to retest. She said that she was married, that her husband would never, and da-da-da-da, and they have kids. And we're like, he did, obviously, and he came back and gave it to you. And I will say that is almost like one of the most heartbreaking, like if you're a young teenager, to me that's also heartbreaking, because at the end of the day, like, I was that insecure high school kid, and I know what it's like to like want to be accepted and to, I don't know, like, I just feel like wanting acceptance and then taking your clothes off, it's just heartbreaking for you to get a disease that lasts for the rest of your life. Because I'm not saying that it's not your fault. Like, of course there's accountability in place, but like, they're kids, you know what I mean? And like, making a mistake when you're 15 and having to explain to a man that is your dream man when you're 25 that you have this disease, and he either has to be okay with it or he doesn't have to be okay with it. It's just heartbreaking for me. But like, it's a different heartbreak for a woman who is married to a man and him to run off on her and to come back and give that to her. It's just a slap in the face, and it's just so, I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening. They discharged her with medication and a follow-up, but her husband was not there. She came in alone. So I don't know what ended up happening, but that was just kind of a eye-opening subject. That's also, if you're sexually active, that's also why it's so important for me to get tested, like everybody to get tested. I love my man down, I do, but people make mistakes. You know, I've seen people that were married for 30, 40, 50 years and then have a wonderful marriage and then they all of a sudden get cheated on. So every time I go to my OBGYN, I get the full panel. I get everything tested because I love my man down, and I hate to say he would never, but I know that he knows that if he did, the world would come to a halt. Okay? But I still get tested, and I'm like 100,000% sure in my relationship, but I still get tested, and please follow my example. That's all. Bye. Be safe, and y'all quit running rampant out here and get naked for these boys. Quit doing it.
I've seen a creator say that jealousy is quiet, but envy is very loud. And let me tell y'all how I seen this in real time today. So I'm out and about shopping with my man. And if you live in a big city, you know, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, jewelry makers, you know, people selling their art and their products in these neighborhoods. And so we see this guy, he has this really cool looking jewelry. Like he's making different pieces out of watches, and it was just like really eye catching. So of course we stopped to look at the jewelry, and my boyfriend sees a piece that he really likes, and I'm like, okay, let's get it for you. As we're talking to the guy and getting our stuff, his friend walks up, and y'all, he just starts shitting on everything. And if you're not someone who's like tapped in, you would think everything was a joke. Okay, but I could see it. For one, he walks up and he was like, oh, so it's about that time to pack up. Like, you know, you about to pack up? He's like, yeah, you know, the guy's like, yeah, I'm about to pack up. It's been a slow day. And he was like, yeah, it's been a really slow day. Then he just straight up starts like insulting everything the guy's doing. He's like, my boyfriend picks up the necklace and he's like, how much is this? He's like, $48. His friend is like, how do you even know how much these things are? Like, you're basically like, you're just making these numbers up. And I think that's an awkward thing to say when your friend is trying to make a sale. So, you know, I rebuttal with, well, that's, you know, the privilege of being an entrepreneur. You can make up your own prices. Then he's just like, yeah, I don't even like gold. I think gold's tacky. Mind you, it was a gold necklace that my boyfriend was buying. So it's like, he did not want him to make this sale. He's like, yeah, I don't really like gold. Gold is tacky. Then he starts talking shit about his friend's pieces. What caught my eye was that he was making necklaces and rings out of watches. His friend straight up said, yeah, like, I don't want this fake bust down, this fake watch bust down. I'm like, at this point, it's awkward. He said a lot more. The gold, the fake bust down. It's time for you to pack up.
He kept talking over him.
He kept talking over him. What killed me was when he started talking about the gold chain in itself. Like, basically, like, you shouldn't buy this.
Crazy was he was across the street, but he didn't show up until some customers.
Right. He was across the street. He saw us come up to the booth buying the stuff, and then he came and was like, it's about that time to pack up, huh? I was gonna walk back over there after we got done eating and be like, you need to keep an eye out for this motherfucker, because envy and jealousy make people do strange things like that. Like, you're so envious to the point where you don't even care that, like, you look like a hater. This is what they mean when they say jealousy is quiet, envy is loud. People are jealous of you, they won't support you. They'll watch everything, never comment. They'll see you blowing up, won't support it, but like will call you, you know, when they see something working for you. They're in the shadows. Jealousy is really quiet. Envy is loud because it always comes off as a joke, or like someone tried to jokingly humble you. I'm going to try everything in my power to find this man's Instagram and shoot him a DM, because I have just not experienced that type of energy in a very long time. Like, I'm surrounded by people who love me and support me, but to see that in real time, it was sad too, because you could tell the vendor was like very soft-spoken, very quiet. He was like trying to explain himself. And I just made sure to let him know before we left that I loved his artwork and to keep going.
Here's a few insane things I've done because I'm an insane fucking bitch. First thing first is when I found out the man was cheating on me, I went through his phone, right? And then I found this girl, and this girl knew he had a girlfriend, but she didn't know anything about the girlfriend. That was me. So I ended up going to my mail account and texting this girl and made her fall in love with me. Like, I was buying her gifts, taking her to fancy dinners and all of this. And then she went through the whole, I think I'm gay only for you phase. And then she hard launched me, and then I blocked both of them. Why? Because I don't fuck with cheaters. There was this one time where I was talking to this guy, and he was cussing me out on the phone. He was calling me a bitch. He was like cussing out me and my family and all that. It got like nasty, alright? So what I did, I ended up adding all my guy friends to the conference call. That was like 10 of them. I knew only 3. The 7 was just there for the game, alright? And they bullied him so bad, to the point that he started crying and then came and like apologized to me. And he's like, if you want me to fall on my knees, I'm gonna do it for you. And I was like, it's alright, just don't ever talk to me again, bitch. This girl wanted my man so bad to the point that she started spreading rumors about me and calling me a slut and all of that. So I waited till she got a man, and then I became best friends with that man. So
as I'm in the freaking bathroom, this guy's yelling, "That's my effing wife. That's my effing wife. Who the F is back there with her?" I was like, if you're a female in New York City, please watch this video. So this happened to me last week, and I didn't even want to make a video about it. I was pretty shaken up, but I wanted to just remind ladies, and if you're coming to visit New York, and please don't let your guard down, because there are a lot of crazy people in the city. It being such a big city and being so densely packed with people, you just, it's not normal on how you have to be in fight or flight mode at all times in New York. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So this incident happened to me last week. I was getting off the train around Broadway and 40th Street in Manhattan, and I had some time to kill before I had to go run some errands. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just sit here in this plaza and scroll on my phone for a little bit, or just have a few minutes to just people watch. And as I'm going to sit down, of course, this man comes up to me, already trying to like ruin the little bit of time that I had. And he's like, oh, I was going to wipe that seat down for you. And I was immediately like, oh, no, I'm good, thanks. And I was just like, okay, well, now I can't stay here. I'm going to walk away. So I just was like, no, I'm good, thanks. And then I walk away, and I don't think anything of it. I walk a couple blocks down to go to get a matcha at a cafe. But before that, I stood outside the cafe for a little bit and was just kind of like hanging out. I was not in a rush. I was trying to kill a little bit of time. So again, don't think anything of it. Finally, I go inside the cafe. I order my matcha. I was like, I have a little bit more time to kill, so I'm just going to like sit here for a few more minutes. As I'm sitting down, now it's like 20 minutes later, I look to my side, and it's the man from 20 minutes ago that went up to me as I was trying to sit down, and he just went right up to me, and my body did not react well to seeing him again. I immediately knew that I was in danger. I completely froze up. I knew, like, this man had the most evil look on his face. He didn't straight up look like a he didn't look homeless. He looked somewhere like in between. And I immediately knew that I was in danger. So like my instincts were to just get away from this man. Like I wasn't even the New Yorker in me, usually like, get away from me. What are you looking at? This and that. I didn't even have that sort of reaction. I had like, this is dangerous. You need to get away from this man. So I immediately, he comes right up to me. He's like talking. I don't even hear what the hell he's saying. I'm just thinking I gotta get away from him. And I start walking like past the barricade, like towards into the back of the cafe without even thinking. And the guys working at the cafe were immediately like peeping what was going on, and they were like trying to like, sir, like back up kind of thing. And I was like, I'm going like this, and he starts yelling like, that's my wife, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm so in shock and scared and frozen that I'm not even communicating the words to the workers. Like, I don't know this man. I've never seen this man before. So I don't know if they were thinking that I actually knew him, but he looked a little crazy, so they probably could assume that I didn't know him. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, they might have to call the police. Like, I've never been in a situation where the police had to be called. And now the guy's like in the workers' faces, like cursing them out, trying to get to me. And This was Luckin Coffee. They're like an Asian Starbucks, and like shout out to them because the workers really tried their best to protect me, even though that's not their responsibility at all. And they were and I just kept thinking like, this guy was big. I just kept thinking like, he's gonna beat them up and he's gonna get to me, because it seemed like he could take all of them at the same time, kind of thing. And at this point, they lock me in the bathroom, the workers. They're like, we're gonna go in the bathroom and we're gonna lock the door. And so I just hear, and I'm shaking, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, he's gonna F them up and he's gonna get to me. As I'm in the freaking bathroom, this guy's yelling, that's my effing wife. That's my effing wife. Who the F is back there with her? I was like, this guy is a loco. I was like, oh, hell no. I was just like, I'm thinking like, he's gonna get to me. He's gonna get to me. I'm like, I'm in a bad spot because I'm locked in a room with nowhere to go. So if he gets to me, like it will be too late by the time anybody can get to me. Like, this is what's going through my mind. And he's yelling, that's my effing wife. That's my effing wife. Who the F is back there with her? Mind you, I've never seen this man in my life. I'm terrified. And I can hear him yelling from behind the door, but I can't see anything, right? I just hear it. So I'm listening to it. And now I can hear the workers calling 911 themselves. They're calling 911. And like a few minutes are going by. I'm like locked in the bathroom at Luckin Coffee. And then finally they like knock on the door and somebody lets me out, and they shut down the whole cafe. The lights are off. I guess he had walked out at a point, the guy, and then they just like locked it down. And like my heart's beating fast, and they have like 911 on the phone. They're like, oh, the girl's right here, blah blah blah. The cops pull up in 2 minutes. Like, it was so quick. By the time I got out of the bathroom, there was already a cop walking inside, and I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I was so like, my nerves were up here that I could barely communicate. I almost forgot what the guy looked like at this point, because like, I'm just not thinking straight. And then at this point he had already walked out, but maybe he was nearby or something. So the cops were just like, let's go outside and let me know if you see him. So we go outside. I don't see anything. A minute goes by. Of course, the guy's circling back because he's walking back towards the cafe. And at this point, the workers were telling me he threatened everyone. He said he was going to go get his gun. He threatened all the workers. He said he was going to F them up. He said he was going to kill them. I didn't hear this part because I was locked in the bathroom. And so now the guy's circling back, and I'm like, I think that's him. I feel like that's him, but I'm not sure. So I told the worker, I'm like, that's him, right? And they're like, yeah, that's him. And the cops pretty much were like, oh, like, did he touch you? Did he actually do anything to you? And I was like, no, he hadn't yet. But like, he just threatened everyone. Like, he just threatened the workers too. And so basically they didn't really do anything. I guess I could have pushed it and pressed charges, but I didn't want it, like, I didn't want him to find out my name, or I don't know how that works. And I didn't want to be affiliated with him at all. And as he walked by, as he walked past the cafe again, obviously he sees the cops there now, so he like does not want the smoke. So they're like, kind of, hey man, blah 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 blah. And then he's responding like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And so the cops were like, okay, we're gonna like escort him like away, and you go the opposite direction, and we'll watch him and make sure that you get away. And so that's what they did. And like, you don't understand like how scared I was. And this is why we choose the bear every time. I never, like, as a New Yorker, born and raised, we're used to being around all types of crazy people, but like, it doesn't usually get this bad. The cops have never had to be called for a situation. So it was pretty terrifying. My guard was definitely down. I felt relaxed prior to this happening, and now my guards are back up again. I feel like I have a little PTSD. I'm walking around like I got a chip on my shoulder. So I'm just reminding you ladies to please be careful, even when everything seems chill. It's a nice day out. Like, this happened in broad daylight in the middle of Manhattan. So please just be alert and watch your surroundings, and yeah, stay safe out there.